GKFX Prime presents the Market Analysis Webinar.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another week in the markets. Thank you for being here. It is another week of trading setups. Let's look at another few trading opportunities for you this week. Some high probability scenarios that I've picked out for you in the markets. We are now towards the end of December, the holiday period time. Expect the markets to get a little bit more choppy, slow, and let's prepare for that, and I should say, and let's see what the market has in store. Let's begin, as always, with the economic calendar. So here's what we've got for this week. Monday, we don't have any major news to bear in mind. Tuesday, we've got from Japan the monetary policy and their rates. So this should be an important one to watch out for. We've also got retail sales on CAD from Canada. We've got some housing statistics, less important, from the US there. And on Wednesday, we've got CPI and inflation figures from Canada. So that's one to watch out for. And on the dollar, consumer confidence. And on Thursday, again, on the dollar, GDP figures and jobs figures, and another bit of yen news, monetary policy meeting minutes released there. And on Friday, we've got the GDP figures from Canada. That's one to look out for. And a little bit of lesser important, less effect is the core PCE price index and home sales news as well on the dollar. So I've marked the news to look out for this week. This is what we've got. So we have yen, CAD, and a bit of dollar news. So let's look at what the charts are telling us. Let's see where we can go from here. Okay, are you ready, guys? Let's begin with the major charts. So I'm going to start with pound dollar here. We have now cleared various highs here. Let me just delete all of these so that we can have a cleaner chart, which I recommend you do as well when you have your chart set up. So here we've cleared these highs. We are now looking to target the next highs over here. We are in a bullish trend, breaking all of these highs here, closing higher, 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 and now we've had this brief pause in the market. However, we're still in a bullish environment. We're still short on the dollar and long on currencies. So this is the scenario we're playing out here. If I look on the weekly chart, we can see we've got higher highs and the market is still very much bullish. Now, if I draw a fib from the last obvious low where the market moved away from sharply to the high, we're currently sitting at that retracement level, and what I see is a retracement into this level beyond where we're at right here to possibly reverse and continue to the upside, targeting first the high, the obvious high, and then the next high up here. So from here to the first one, it's about 350 pips, and then further down about 570. And of course, this low right here, if I delete the fib, should be the area where we're not looking to breach beyond. And if we do, then the likelihood is that we are then heading lower into this area right here. That's where I'll be looking for, because then we would have something like this, a trend line being broken and also structure being broken, and then we'd be heading lower. And then we may have a turnaround on the dollar at the same time. So let's see if we do get that reversal this week, if we do get that push higher, bearing in mind some dollar news, bearing in mind also the week that we're at, which is the holiday period, the quiet time. Looking at my calendar, we are now the penultimate week of December of the whole year. So let's keep that in mind as well. These trades may be shorter ones. They may also take longer if you leave them. So expect it to possibly go slower. Who knows? We never know what's going to happen in the markets. But the idea still stands in terms of probability figures here. Okay. Let me go next to another major pair. We've got dollar yen here. So we've got the market going lower, creating new lows, lower highs. And we're now stuck in this little range on the weekly chart. Looking on the monthly, we had that big bearish candle. Now the question is this low now going to hold, or are we going to go lower? So the scenario is going to be like this. In this case, favoring the downside because we are going much lower. However, I do like this area here, which we can see that we're bouncing off from and rejecting, bouncing, rejecting. And because of that, if we head lower, we get that confirmation. And then we have a pullback. Then a move to the downside will be favorable because we are looking at, first of all, this low. And then I'm looking at the next low after that. So from here to here, we've got about almost 600 pips. And this is where we're at right now. So at the moment we're stuck in a range. Let's see where the market flows from here. We're going to want to see a break of this range and a continuation to the downside if that happens. If we don't get that and we have a break of this high right here, then the whole idea is invalidated because we'll be breaking new highs. Hopefully that's clear enough for you. You can see on the daily as well, we're stuck in a range here. Right then, so favoring the high probability to the downside, however, not excluding the fact that the market could continue to range because of the holidays and maybe breaking to the upside as well. If the upside does break, let's factor in the opposite scenario. So the next level I'll be watching for is this gap in the market right here. And then we'll see what happens there. Okay, so that's the dollar yen. So long on pound dollar, short on dollar yen, if we get the confirmations together with the news. Let's look at another yen pair. So we got CAD yen now. Looking at the weekly, if I just delete some of the previous drawings here, I can see that we were targeting this level right here, which is still the case. We have 2 weeks of indecision. However, the momentum is very much to the downside. So the idea now becomes last week holding. So let me just delete that. So last week holding this level right here. And then if we have a break lower to the downside, closing below, then we get a pullback. This will be an idea for a continuation to the downside. And if the opposite is the case, if for some reason the market breaks higher and breaks these highs, then this idea for the short will be invalidated and we will have to wait a little bit longer. I do like this level right here, which would be a deeper retracement. So if we get that reversal pattern here, some kind of reversal to the downside, then I'll be looking for the short from there. However, we're still quite a way away from that. That's about 200 or so pips, and we're stuck in this range. So it seems like we have more weakness to the downside here, and that's the favorable, more probable idea. So let's see if that scenario plays out. We'll have to see, let the market play out. Remembering we do have CAD news as well, we have yen news. Let's see if it fits with the picture and where the market intends to go. Okay, let's look next to the euro. Again, let me just delete all these previous from a few weeks back. So no longer necessary. Okay. What's the idea on euro pound? When the euro pound, we had this big impulsive move up, we made a retracement lower, and now we're kind of stuck in this range, and then suddenly we had this big impulsive week to the upside. It's about a 200 or so pip candle, and it closed bullish. Therefore, I will be looking for a continuation of that bullishness in line with the higher time frame strength in the market as well. Okay, so here's that big impulsive move. I can draw a fib again from the low to the high. I can see where we've got a zone which falls in with the fib level 61, 78 that we go on about, and something around here would be a nice cheaper price if the market reaches there for a reversal to happen right here and to continue to the upside. So the upside would be, first of all, the high, most obvious high, and then the next obvious highs up here, and then you could also have a TP number 3 up there, but that's some way away. So let's focus our eyes on what happens in this area right here. If we get there, when we get there, let's see where the market wants to go. We may want to continue ripping higher, and we may break through and just go lower. That is also a possibility. So if that's the case, this is what I'm going to prepare for in terms of probabilities, but however, no certainty as always. And as well, if you've got any experience with Euro Pound, you'll know that it's one of the slower pairs. It doesn't move the daily ranges and not as great as other pairs. So the slowness of it may put you off a little bit, but it does require a little bit more patience if you're going to take these bigger swing trades. Right, I hope that was clear. Let's move on to the next one. Next, I'm going to have a look at the Nasdaq or NAS 100. And here was the idea last week to go into this level and then move away, which we have done. We've pushed away very, very cleanly, very firmly. And this was the idea for the short. And then we did get that pull higher. Let's delete this. We did get that move higher and then a drop to the downside. So what's next from here? Well, the next thing to look for is a retracement. Let's move this here. Retracement to the upside. And then a continuation of the move into the next obvious levels. So it's going to be quite a significant move down here. So a little bit of a pullback, a bit of a better price, a retracement there, and then continuing down. That will be the high probability scenario. We have these lower lows, as we were saying before, lower highs, and massive push to the downside, continue to the downside, not seeing any real a break of structure or any momentum to the upside. At the moment, price is looking weak overall. So let's stick with that bias. Let's stick with that idea. And this is the downside idea, probability, high probability idea on NAS 100. Right, let's move to oil. Let's look at oil here. Again, let me just delete all of these. Again, let's clean up the chart. Let's have a look at where we're at. Fresh and nice clean chart to get a much better idea of where we're at. So here we are in a very long-term retracement. Here was the initial move. Here's the retracement. We are now coming into these extreme lows. If the market breaches this low right here, I would be questioning where we are going next. I do not know. At the moment, we are pausing and we had a bit of downside momentum here. And the question is, are we going to now reverse and head higher? So far, we have none of the indication that that is going to happen. Nothing here shows that. However, we do have a bit of a slowdown, a bit of a range, and the market move lower. Now, we can see here that we've had this sort of channel. Okay, so the next thing to look out for, if we're going to look to the upside, if we're going to consider a buy situation, because we do have a weak dollar, which should in theory indicate a stronger oil prices, but that is not the case at the moment. So we have a little bit of a mismatch happening in the market. Now, what would we have to see in order to get a buy scenario in oil? What would we have to look out for? Well, what I would look out for is, first of all, a break of this structure, which would also break the trend line. And if we move higher and get a very nice push to the upside, a retracement, and as always, a pullback to a better price and a continuation higher would be nice. So here's that first level to look for as a target. Here's that second level to look for as a target. And let's see if we do get a reversal here, or we breach these lows. A breach of these lows would lower the probability really much further than where we're at the moment, because that would be a continuation of this channel to the downside. But that is dependent on how the price plays out now. We also have to consider that we may get spikes, have to consider that the market might range too. So really want to see a much cleaner, much further push to the upside, breaking these highs, and then taking into account a possible entry to make it higher probability. Okay, so a bit premature at the moment on oil, on WTI crude oil, but let's see where we go. So we're going to have to watch and wait for this one. Finally, let me go to Bitcoin, something we've been looking at the last few weeks as well. And lately, previous to these last few weeks, we have had all this ranging market, so we did not look for that. And now what have we got? Well, last we've got this big upside down pin bar, closed very bearish. So because of this bearishness, I would look to continue on that. And here I've got the first level to look out for, and then the ultimate lows, these lows right here. To get a better price, I like this zone right here, which is the retracement, a bit of a gap in the price. Usually the market creates new swings, so we haven't had that major swing here. So I'd like to see a nice better price, and then a drop to the downside, and again creating swings in the market to head lower. Okay, so that's the idea here on Bitcoin. We've tapped into this high, had this kind of a fake move up here, and then closed below, and then headed down lower, breaking these lows, heading lower down and lower down into lower prices. So that's where the market looks to be swaying at the moment. You can also draw this trend line if you like trend lines. We have that break here, and a very nice clean break. Looking at the daily, broken as well. So a nice better price, and then continuing to the downside. Yep, so that's Bitcoin there for you as well. Carrying on with the sell scenario. These are the charts we've got for this week. Hopefully that's clear for you. If you've got any questions, comment down below. Remember to like and subscribe on the page if you haven't already. My name is Dima. Thank you for joining me once again for this week. Hope you have a good holiday period. I hope these charts help. Pick the ones that suit you. Manage your risk as always. Remember to always do that. That is number one in your longevity, continuity, and consistency in your trading. Okay, hopefully that's helped you and you've enjoyed this week's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. These are the scenarios that I'm looking at myself for this week in terms of higher probability. So I'll be picking and choosing as the week goes by, depending on what the market tells us and what the price action creates in the candles as always. Okay. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next analysis video. All right, bye for now. Hope you have a good trading week.